I'm just wondering if just the name manufacturing sounds like a guy.
Well, that was yet another Democratic lawmaker making a fool out of herself, embarrassing the Democratic Party with
embarrassing the whole damn country. Let me set what we just saw there. It might have happened quickly. If you just tuning in the video, sometimes it takes a minute. This is the Young Turks, Ana Kasparian, of course, Cenk. We're going back to the Young Turks again, and I give them credit. They go after the Democrat Party. I love that. This woman I've never heard of in my life is talking about why, just thinking of theories, brainstorming, like what they do in the House. Why do manufacturing jobs and positions lack women in the workforce? Let's bring that back. What do the people that we chose, we voted to put here, ranking member, Schakowski? I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Ms. Schakowski, what do you think? Why do you think there's not as many women as men in manufacturing jobs?
I'm just wondering if just the name manufacturing sounds like a guy.
Well, that was yet another Democratic lawmaker making a fool out of herself, embarrassing the Democratic Party with a ridiculous question about why there aren't enough women working in the manufacturing industry. Could it be that the name manufacturing sounds like a guy? Or could there be other factors at play? Cenk, what do you think?
Oh, please stop, please stop. Okay, I'm gonna propose something that could end the Democratic Party a little bit later in this story. I don't want it, And I'm gonna give you a little background on Schakowski. Go ahead.
Yeah, background. Guess how old is Schakowski? She's 80. Another 80-year-old who can't damn well Google. I mean, as stupid as it sounds, I didn't know where the manufacturing word came from. I looked it up. It's Latin for manufactus, meaning made by hand, meaning manual labor, meaning that's okay if men do it. But you're 80 years old. If you had a question on it, I actually don't blame you for that. I don't know, Google it.
Yeah, so that was Representative Jen Schakowski, Democrat, of course. And I mean, like, what is she proposing here? What is she suggesting? Should we call it manufacturer? And maybe more women will take manufacturing jobs? Like, what is going on? Anyway, and by the way, she asked that question to a literal MIT professor. And so let's get into the details of the hearing and what this was all about. So last Tuesday, the subcommittee, a subcommittee in the House was basically focusing on why there aren't many young people or women involved in manufacturing jobs. And here's the full question from Jan Schakowski.
Yesterday, I met with a manufacturing company, but they also are engaged in getting young people more engaged in manufacturing. So I asked them, so how many of those students that are signing up and want to do this, how many are women? And they said, well, I know there's at least 13% or something. It was a low number. And you had mentioned trying to engage more women in manufacturing. I'm just wondering if just the name manufacturing sounds like a guy. And how can we get more? Certainly there's a lot of room for women. What are you doing to make that happen?
So just so you have all the full details, this is the subcommittee on commerce, manufacturing, and trade. And so the MIT professor, Elizabeth Reynolds, who Schakowski was addressing, basically paid no mind to the manufacturing sounding like a guy comment. Instead, she decided to address how the lack of women has more to do with the shortage of workers in the manufacturing industry overall. So let's take a look at her answer.
Thank you very much for that question. And it's very important, particularly given the shortage of workers we've just been talking about. Half a million currently, and close to 2 million within 10 years. We need to bring everybody into the manufacturing workforce, including women, who represent about 30% of the workforce today, underrepresented given that they're 46% of the total workforce
I always have a takeaway, so give the channel a like, comment, subscribe. I always have takeaways. I'm going to give you my takeaway at the end here.
in the country. So I think there are a number of things that we could be doing. First point is to say that the kind of manufacturing we're talking about now with AI and automation and all of the type of developments we're talking about really should change the view of manufacturing in this country. Historically, we think of it as dirty, dull, physically laborious. That's completely gone now in the 21st century. And I think that will be helpful in terms of attracting the next generation into manufacturing.
And I should note that manufacturing employment among women is actually on the rise, rising to 62,000 post-pandemic, up to 2022. And that's compared to an additional 5,000 men taking manufacturing jobs in the same time period. And if you look at this graph, it kind of shows you there are comparable men and like a comparable percentage of men and women taking these manufacturing jobs in recent years. So this isn't really a gender issue or a sex issue. It's more about the fact that there are shortages of workers in these manufacturing jobs. And that is to say, whenever there's a labor shortage, that means the workers got a little bit of leverage. You know what I'm saying? That's when you can actually negotiate for higher wages, better benefits. So if any of our viewers are working in the manufacturing industry and you're noticing a labor shortage that's impacting your place of work, maybe consider organizing the workplace. Or if you don't want to do that, renegotiate what you're getting paid.
Yeah. So make the best of the situation because the situation is here, whether you like it or not. Okay, look, back to the fun stuff for a second, and then I'll tell you about Schakowski. So this is like peak absurdity. Like the Democrats have to cut this crap out.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God she didn't say, should we call it womanufacturing? Like if she had done that, we're toast. We'd lose every election in our lifetimes. Stop making up words. Nobody likes it. It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, it doesn't help more women get into manufacturing. And manu, by the way, means hand in Latin. It means working with.
Okay, but that's great. That's I like that from Cenk there. I agree with everything there. But to me, he doesn't take it far enough. Why do we need women in manufacturing? Can somebody explain that to me? It's sit me down and explain it to me like I'm 5 years old, Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur. Explain to me why the hell we need women in manufacturing. I'll wait. Go into, please, in the comment section. I would love to see your attempt. If you want to see me crash the hell out in the comment section, I would love to hear your reasoning as to why we need women in the manufacturing field. Like that's just the peak absurdity. Isn't even the man in manufacturing. It's the thought that we need women in manufacturing job to begin with. Why? What's the justification for that? Wouldn't you, if there is a shortage, which there's not, because you're bringing in illegals, so these people love illegals. So illegals take a lot of these jobs. That's what they were doing in Springfield, Ohio, and other places all over the country. And a lot of the manufacturing jobs leave. That's why you got Make America Great Again rising up to try and bring them back, at least in theory, at least in words. So why are you doing both? You want illegals, you don't care that the factories are leaving, and then for some reason you want more women? Why wouldn't you say, well, I want more American men in manufacturing? I played the clip of Steve Bannon talking about George Floyd. He had the most heartfelt, I'm not going to play it again, but I'm just going to reiterate it. He had the most heartfelt, thoughtful take out of anyone. And I've listened to hours. I listened to the whole trial, hours of coverage, obviously, on George Floyd. No one had a better take. Steve Bannon said, well, what if there was manufacturing jobs in Minnesota and St. Paul? Back in the day, he might have had a factory job paying six figures, maybe more with overtime, or deep six figures. Had a lake house up north in Minnesota. You can tell Bannon knows a little bit of the culture. I used to live up there A lot of people go to lake homes and rent them out or even own some, if you can. If Bannon was saying he could own that property, he wouldn't have had the fake 20. He wouldn't have had the speed and the ball. He wouldn't have been down on his luck. He would have had an opportunity. And who knows if George Floyd would have taken it, but he represented the loss of that, even if you don't go to college. And instead, you're talking about women going into manufacturing. Let me hear from you women. How many women out there are excited for a manufacturing job?
The next clip is ready below. Welcome to After Show Carnage.